Today we're going to be looking at different types of operating systems. When we've thought about software in the past, we're thinking about the different programs, the different apps that are installed on the computer, and an operating system is very similar. It's just software that runs on the computer. But the operating system is the thing that is in charge of the different hardware that's on your computer and any other software that is running. So the operating system itself is a platform that allows us to interact with it, but it also allows all of your other applications and programs to run. Now, for us as people, it's not as easy to interact with a computer or device. So we have something called a user interface, which is what we're looking at when we're using the operating system on the device. Now, there's different types of user interface. All have got their advantages and disadvantages, and we're going to look at some of them now. So the first one we're going to look at is this, a graphical user interface, or GUI or GUI for short. And what you can see is just all the different icons that help people who may not have much experience using a device. It might make it easier for them to use. Now, an easy way to think about this and remember it is something called WIMP. So for the W in WIMP, that stands for Windows, and you've got things like this as a window, which it allows us to interact with it and see different things that we might store or keep in different places. You can move the window around, you can resize it, whatever you want to do with it. The I stands for icons. So like in real life, they try and use pictures and icons that are relatable and can help us remember what we're going to actually use it for. So for example, I know that if I don't want something anymore, I can put it in the bin. And we've got an icon here of a recycle bin. Because it's relatable, we know what it would be used for. So if I don't want something, I can just move it and put it straight into the recycle bin. So it just allows us to remember what it should be used for and interact with the device in that way. So the M stands for menus. We've got tons of menus in the graphical user interface. For example, when I click on Start and go to all my programs, we've got a list here. This is our menu. We've also got different menus when we right click in places of different things that we can do as well. And then finally, we've got the P, which is for pointers. And you can see I've got my nice bright pink pointer, so I can see exactly what it is that I want, and I can just click wherever the pointer is and I'll be able to access it. Another type of menu is something called a command line interface. An example of a command line interface is command prompt, where we can type in commands and still control the device in this way. Other examples would include on a Linux operating system, you could use the terminal. So to use this, you just type in different commands so that you can control it. So for example, if I wanted to change which folder I'm currently looking in, which directory, I can do CD, which is for change directory. I can change to this one, which is what I want to look at, and send in that command, and now that's the directory that I'm looking in. If I wanted to make a directory, I can type in another command, mkdir, and then give it a name like example1. I'll press enter, send that command in. Let's open that folder now and look, and here is the folder that I've just created using that command. Other examples of user interface would include a menu-driven interface, which is a bit like when you get to a cash machine and your options come up on the screen in front of you, and then you've got different buttons that you would press on to interact with what it is that it says you can do. The final interface we want to talk about is a voice-activated interface. This could be something like Siri, where you would say Siri and then your command, and then it will listen to you, and then it should hopefully do what it is that you've asked it to do. It then might follow up with further questions and get you to interact with it in that way. For your operating system to manage all of this different software, it has to allocate memory to each of these different open applications. Now you can actually see how much memory is being allocated to different applications by doing this. Control-Alt-Delete on your keyboard, selecting Task Manager, and you can see what's currently open in this way. You can see at the moment I'm using about 39% of my memory for the current open applications. You've also got the different background processes which run in the background anyway, which are also using memory but not as much. Sometimes this is referred to as multitasking. So as you've seen, I've got different applications at the moment that are open, and to do that, the operating system has to multitask and run those different programs at the same time. Now, as we know, all the way back from our hardware unit, we've got the CPU, which is fetching, decoding those instructions that are coming from all the open applications. Multitasking allows that to happen smoothly, and the operating system will interact with the CPU to ensure that that is happening. Okay, let's have a look at a few questions on this topic. So question 1, explain the role of an operating system. Question 2, identify 3 types of user interface. And question 3, explain what is meant by memory management. Okay, let's go through some answers then. So question 1 was explain the role of an operating system. You could have written something like, an operating system is software that manages computer hardware and software resources. You could extend your explanation by saying the operating system provides a platform for applications to run. Question 2 is identify 3 types of user interface. So some of the ones we've looked at are graphical user interface, command line interface, and menu interface. Question 3 was explain what is meant by memory management. So you could have written something like the operating system allocates memory to different applications, transfers data between RAM and storage when needed. And that's it for this one. See you next time.